For centuries, humanity has gazed at the stars, dreaming and questioning its origins and destiny. Where do we come from? Are we alone in the universe? What does our future hold? These questions have preoccupied our minds since the dawn of our existence. In this quest for understanding, we embark on a journey through the dusty pages of history, delving into the enigmatic world of ancient civilizations, particularly the Sumerians, often hailed as the cradle of civilization. In the fertile lands of Mesopotamia, nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, an unprecedented surge in human development occurred approximately 7,000 years ago. The Sumerian civilization, seemingly emerging from nowhere, profoundly impacted human history with its incredible legacy. The knowledge they meticulously recorded on clay tablets using cuneiform script constitutes some of the oldest written records available to us today. The roots of our modern calendar and timekeeping system, as well as the sexagesimal system used in geometry and angle measurement, can be traced back to this remarkable civilization. The Sumerians were true pioneers, revolutionizing transportation with the invention of the wheel, transforming agriculture with the plow, and nourishing their cities with sophisticated irrigation systems. Their ingenuity extended beyond technological advancements, encompassing social and political innovations as well. The first organized city-states, a sophisticated legal system, the concept of human rights, and even the earliest hospitals were all products of Sumerian genius. Driven by their curiosity and meticulous observations of the heavens, they mastered tracking the movements of planets, pinpointing the positions of stars, and recording the phases of the moon. The intricate mathematical systems they devised for measuring time and creating calendars represent the earliest examples of the very knowledge that underpins modern science. This remarkable progress begs the question: how did this civilization achieve such advanced knowledge and technology? How did such a monumental leap occur so suddenly in human history? While historians and archaeologists continue to search for definitive answers, Sumerian texts offer a compelling possibility. The Anunnaki, meaning those who came down from the heavens. In Sumerian, the Anunnaki are depicted as gods in their mythology. What role did these enigmatic beings play in shaping human history? Were the knowledge and technologies they imparted to the Sumerians the driving force behind the sudden flourishing of human civilization? These beings, purportedly hailing from a distant planet called Nibiru, raise further questions. How long did they remain on Earth, and what was the nature of their interactions with humanity? In this video, we embark on a remarkable journey to uncover one of humanity's greatest secrets. Who were the Anunnaki, and how did their arrival transform our world? Through ancient texts, archaeological findings, and genetic secrets, we will explore the influence of these mysterious beings. From the first civilizations to the Great Flood, from the creation of humankind to the realm of the gods, this incredible story will challenge everything you thought you knew. Subscribe to my channel for a new video every week. Thank you all in advance for your support. Now just sit back and enjoy the video. Since the beginning of time, humanity has sought to understand its origins, gazing at the heavens and seeking answers among the stars. The Sumerians, one of the earliest civilizations to flourish in the fertile lands of Mesopotamia, were not only the architects of writing, the wheel, and mathematics, but also the keepers of extraordinary tales about their ancient gods, the Anunnaki. At the heart of Sumerian cosmology lies a mysterious planet called Nibiru. Depicted as much larger than Earth, and rich in iron oxide, Nibiru possesses an eerie beauty with its blood-red rivers and lakes. Traveling an eccentric orbit on the fringes of our solar system, Nibiru, according to Sumerian texts, makes a perilous approach to Earth every 3,600 years. Some researchers have linked these cosmic encounters to catastrophic events on our planet, including climate shifts and even pivotal turning points in human history. But to understand why this advanced civilization undertook such a long and hazardous journey to Earth, we must delve into the core of their story. The truth embedded within the Sumerian tablets is both simple and profound. The Anunnaki were on a quest to save their dying planet. Over time, Nibiru's atmosphere had deteriorated, becoming increasingly hostile to life. To counteract this existential threat, the Anunnaki needed a vital substance: gold. Earth, rich in deposits of this precious metal, became their target, and they embarked on a long and dangerous journey to obtain it. Enki, the god of water, wisdom, and crafts, was entrusted with this challenging mission. Landing in the fertile plains of Mesopotamia, the Anunnaki established their first base near the present-day Persian Gulf, a place they called Eridu, and began their quest for gold. Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki as beings of extraordinary capabilities. Their size, compared to humans, was immense. Their lifespans were near immortal. When they arrived on Earth, they brought with them the Igigi, a sophisticated servant race. The Igigi were tasked with fulfilling the Anunnaki's every need, building their monumental cities, toiling in the mines, cultivating their fields, and attending to their daily requirements. However, this seemingly ordered and obedient arrangement masked a simmering unrest. The Igigi's patience wore thin under harsh working conditions and the Anunnaki's relentless discipline. Eventually, the Igigi's resentment boiled over, and they launched a full-scale rebellion against their Anunnaki masters. This uprising, which occurred approximately 300,000 years ago, disrupted the Anunnaki's plans and presented them with an unexpected challenge. The grueling labor, their yearning for freedom, and the Anunnaki's oppressive rule were the primary catalysts for this rebellion. The Igigi's revolt led to the destruction of mines, the disruption of cities, and the shaking of the Anunnaki's established order. Amid this chaos, the Anunnaki were forced to find a new source of labor, and this quest paved the way for one of the most controversial events in human history: the creation of humankind. The Anunnaki's solution to their labor problem was to artificially create a new workforce. Led by Enki, they set out to design a new race through genetic engineering. By combining the DNA of the primitive hominids found on Earth with their own, they aimed to create a race intelligent and skillful enough to work the gold mines, yet docile enough to prevent another Igigi-like rebellion. While some Sumerian tablets describe this creation process with symbolic language, such as clay and God's blood, the underlying concept of genetic manipulation is quite remarkable. Thus, the first humans, Adapa, or Adam, and his counterpart Tiamat, or Eve, were created. The Anunnaki began to educate this new species, teaching them the necessary skills for survival. Knowledge of agriculture, animal husbandry, construction, weaving, and basic crafts was gradually imparted to humankind. Some Sumerian tablets even suggest that the Anunnaki shared more complex knowledge with humans, including astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and music. The Anunnaki's creation of humankind was only the beginning of their complex and multifaceted relationship with humanity. The motivations behind this creation, humankind's place within Anunnaki society, and the gods' lasting legacy on humanity remain subjects of much debate and speculation. The arrival of the Anunnaki, the creation of humankind, and the transfer of knowledge were just the prelude to events that would profoundly shape human history. One of the most dramatic and enigmatic events recounted in Sumerian texts is undoubtedly the Great Flood. This catastrophe resulted in the near extinction of humanity and ushered in a new beginning, a new era. However, the flood is also a pivotal event that compels us to question the Anunnaki's complex relationship with humankind and their role on our planet. Humanity's population began to expand far more rapidly than the Anunnaki had anticipated. Cities became overcrowded, noise and chaos proliferated. Sources indicate that this situation disturbed some of the Anunnaki, particularly Enlil, the god of the wind and storms. He was displeased with the noise, the crowds, and the burgeoning energy generated by the expanding human population. Furthermore, he was concerned that the rapid development of human intelligence and the uncontrolled population growth could pose a threat to the Anunnaki's dominance on Earth. Enlil sensed this potential danger and began to harbor a growing resentment towards humankind. It was in this tense atmosphere that the Anunnaki home planet, Nibiru, completed its 3,600-year cycle and approached Earth. The proximity of this massive celestial body disrupted Earth's gravitational balance, triggering a series of catastrophic events. Volcanoes erupted, the Earth quaked, and the sky filled with dark, ominous clouds, harbingers of violent storms. And then came the inevitable, the Great Deluge. The flood was an unimaginable cataclysm that nearly extinguished all life on Earth. Sumerian texts vividly depict how the rising waters, surpassing even the highest mountain peaks, engulfed cities, forests, and all living creatures. Humanity was on the brink of annihilation. Civilization was submerged beneath the waves. Had the Anunnaki's experiment on Earth reached its devastating conclusion? However, not all the Anunnaki desired the complete extinction of humankind. Enki, the god of water, wisdom, and creation, had fashioned the human race with his own hands and believed in their potential. His love and compassion for humanity compelled him to defy the plans of the Anunnaki leader, Enlil, and act secretly to save humankind. According to Sumerian texts, Enki appeared in a dream to Utnapishtim, also known as Ziusudra, a pious and wise man, and warned him of the impending disaster. He instructed Utnapishtim to build a large, sturdy vessel, a massive ark, and to board it with his family, animals of every kind, and the seeds of plants to survive the flood. Enki meticulously provided Utnapishtim with the ark's blueprints and detailed instructions for its construction. Following Enki's instructions to the letter, Utnapishtim constructed the enormous ark. When the flood began, he boarded the vessel with his family, pairs of every kind of animal, and the seeds of plants, and waited, resigned to his fate. Days, weeks, perhaps even months of torrential rain inundated the earth. Even the mountains disappeared beneath the rising waters, and all traces of life seemed to vanish. But Utnapishtim's ark, thanks to Enki's guidance and protection, weathered the storm. As the floodwaters began to recede, Utnapishtim's ark came to rest on the peak of Mount Ararat. To determine whether land was near, Utnapishtim released a dove, then a swallow, and finally, a raven. The raven's failure to return signaled the proximity of dry land. Shortly thereafter, the ark grounded, and Utnapishtim, his family, and all the living creatures they had brought aboard stepped onto a new world. Humanity, thanks to a handful of survivors and the wisdom of Enki, had been reborn. However, the story of the flood and salvation is not unique to the Sumerians. Similar narratives appear in cultures, mythologies, and sacred texts around the world. Noah's Ark in the Hebrew Bible, the myth of Deucalion and Pyrrha in Greek mythology, and the legend of Manu in Hinduism all tell of chosen individuals who survived a great flood and ensured humanity's continued existence. These striking similarities suggest that the flood myth carries a universal quality, reflecting a shared human past, common fears, and enduring hopes. The flood marks a critical turning point in the relationship between humanity and the Anunnaki. What was the Anunnaki's role in this catastrophe? These beings, who both created and seemingly punished humanity, to what extent did they influence our destiny? Was the flood an end to human history or a new beginning? Human history is a continuous journey of discovery and development. Civilizations rise and fall, leaving their mark before fading away. However, some legacies defy the erosive effects of time, resonating within humanity's collective memory and shaping the world we inhabit today. In this episode, we delve into the enigmatic story of the Anunnaki and their controversial legacy on humankind. After the devastating waters of the Great Flood receded, humanity turned a new page, beginning to rebuild the foundations of civilization. In this process of rebirth and development, the claim that the Anunnaki transferred knowledge and technology to the Sumerians emerges as a captivating and contentious subject. The Anunnaki imparted to humans not only the knowledge necessary for survival, but also crucial skills for progress and advancement. Agriculture stands as one of the most significant and enduring examples of this knowledge transfer. Under the guidance of the Anunnaki, humans learned to cultivate the land, select the most productive seeds, establish irrigation systems to enhance yields, and domesticate animals, thereby diversifying their food sources. These skills and knowledge facilitated the rise of a sophisticated agricultural society in the fertile lands of Mesopotamia. Enki, a prominent Anunnaki god in Sumerian mythology, known for his wisdom, creativity, and benevolence towards humanity, is frequently depicted in tablets as a figure who taught agricultural techniques, guided, and protected humans. Traces of these ancient teachings can be observed even in modern agricultural practices. However, the legacy of the Anunnaki extends far beyond the realm of agriculture. Sumerian cities were among the most advanced settlements of their time, distinguished by their organized streets, complex sewage systems, magnificent palaces, and colossal temples. The ziggurats, towering stepped pyramid temples, stand as impressive structures, supporting the notion that advanced architectural and engineering knowledge, along with an aesthetic sensibility, may have been transmitted from the Anunnaki to humans. These massive structures served as both centers for religious rituals and sites for astronomical observation. The organized layout and intricate infrastructure of Sumerian cities testify to their advanced status and planned development. It is argued that the knowledge and experience of the Anunnaki played a significant role in this remarkable achievement. Arguably, the most enduring and revolutionary legacy of the Anunnaki was the invention of writing. Known as cuneiform, this system is among the oldest writing systems known and represents a pivotal turning point in human history. With cuneiform, the Sumerians meticulously recorded on clay tablets their laws, mythology, historical records, commercial agreements, literary works, scientific observations, and even notes on their daily lives. This meticulous record-keeping allows us today to gain detailed insights into the thoughts, beliefs, social structures, and worldview of this civilization that thrived thousands of years ago. The invention of writing enabled humanity to preserve its accumulated knowledge and cultural heritage, passing it down through generations creating a collective memory and thus triggering an immense leap in the advancement of civilization. The Sumerians' fascination with the heavens and their profound knowledge of astronomy are also remarkable. By meticulously observing the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, they deciphered the changing seasons, understood lunar and solar eclipses, and developed sophisticated calendar systems. They utilized this knowledge to plan agricultural activities, organize religious ceremonies, and even attempt to predict the future. Some researchers propose that this advanced astronomical knowledge of the Sumerians stemmed from the teachings of the Anunnaki. The Sumerians' achievements in mathematics are equally astonishing. The sexagesimal system, still used today in our clocks and angle measurements, is a product of their genius and foresight. They were adept at applying their knowledge of geometry, algebra, and arithmetic to various practical fields, from architecture and engineering to trade and taxation systems. It is hypothesized that the Anunnaki imparted mathematical principles to humans, playing a significant role in the development of Sumerian civilization. This rich and complex legacy, passed down from the Anunnaki to the Sumerians, and from the Sumerians to us, has undeniably shaped human history and civilization. From writing and astronomy to mathematics, architecture, agriculture, and urban planning, the influence of the Sumerians, and potentially the Anunnaki, is still felt today. But what is the true reason behind the extraordinary achievements of the Sumerian civilization? Did this advanced knowledge in diverse fields truly arise from the Anunnaki's transfer of knowledge? Or did human intellect and creativity achieve this progress independently? The Sumerians, in the fertile lands of Mesopotamia, meticulously etched their stories onto clay tablets using cuneiform script, providing us with invaluable insights into their world, their beliefs, and their interactions with the divine beings they called the Anunnaki. These tablets, however, are like fragments of a puzzle, open to interpretation, laden with symbolism, and often fragmented by the relentless passage of time. In this episode, we listen to the whispers of the clay, delving into the Anunnaki narratives preserved within Sumerian texts, seeking to unravel the truths, myths, allegories, and possible messages concealed within these ancient accounts. The Epic of Atrahasis stands as a cornerstone in understanding the purpose of humanity's creation and the Anunnaki's perspective on humankind. This epic poem dramatically portrays the hierarchy within the world of the gods, the division of labor, and humanity's place within this divine order. According to the epic, the Anunnaki initially created the Igigi, a lesser race of servants, to perform the arduous tasks and demanding work required for their civilization. However, over time, the Igigi grew increasingly resentful of their toilsome existence and dependence on the gods. Fatigue, a yearning for freedom, and mounting anger towards the Anunnaki's authority finally erupted into a full-scale rebellion. This uprising disrupted the Anunnaki's well-established order and forced them to seek a new source of labor. It was at this juncture that the idea of creating humankind emerged. The gods decided to create a new race, one that would be more subservient, manageable, and readily available to serve their needs. Thus, humanity was conceived to fulfill this specific purpose. While Sumerian texts do not explicitly detail the process of human creation, the employed symbols and metaphors are intriguing. The notion that humans were created from clay is a common motif found in various cultures and belief systems, potentially signifying our material origins, our connection to the earth, and our malleable nature. Some tablets include phrases like God's blood or divine essence, suggesting that the Anunnaki may have used their genetic material in the creation of humankind. This interpretation, proposed by researchers like Zecharia Sitchin, forms a cornerstone of the Anunnaki theory. However, it remains debatable whether this interpretation represents more than a mythological and symbolic narrative and holds scientific validity. Sumerian mythology suggests that human creation was not a single perfect act, but rather the result of an extended process of trial and error. Enki and Ninmah, two prominent Anunnaki deities, undertook numerous attempts, experimenting with various materials and methods, facing many setbacks along the way. Some tablets describe the initial humans as physically and mentally flawed, sometimes even grotesque and monstrous. This process of trial and error eventually led to the successful creation of Adapa, a being who met the Anunnaki's requirements, possessing both physical strength and a degree of intelligence and obedience. This narrative could be interpreted by some as a symbolic representation of the human evolutionary process. The creation of Adapa marked just the beginning of humanity's journey. The Anunnaki systematically began to teach this new species the knowledge and skills necessary for survival, development, and fulfilling their intended role of service. Enki, acting as a benevolent patron and mentor to humanity, instructed Adapa and other humans, not only in practical skills like agriculture, animal husbandry, and craftsmanship, but also in social laws, moral values, mathematics, astronomy, writing, law, medicine, and the principles of societal organization. This transfer of knowledge played a crucial role in human advancement and the establishment of civilization. The myth of humanity's creation from clay, or earth, is not unique to Sumerian culture. Similar creation myths are found across the globe, woven into the fabric of diverse cultures and belief systems. These myths offer different interpretations of our connection to nature, our material origins, and the miracle of creation. In some myths, a single god creates humanity, while in others, multiple deities or spirits play a role in this process. The similarities and differences between these myths demonstrate the universality of our quest to understand our origins and the culturally specific answers we have devised. The theory of humanity's creation by the Anunnaki remains a highly debated and intriguing concept. However, it's crucial to remember that Sumerian texts embrace a mythological narrative open to various interpretations. Some scholars interpret these texts as historical accounts, asserting that the Anunnaki played a defining role in human civilization's development. Others view these texts through a mythological and symbolic lens. The question of whether the Anunnaki were actual beings or symbolic representations of the Sumerians' belief systems and worldview is an ongoing debate. What remains paramount is to approach this subject with an open mind, embracing critical thinking and exploring these narratives to form our conclusions. While Sumerian tablets offer a unique window into humanity's past and the enigma of early civilizations, they also prompt us to reflect on the beliefs, values, and questions that shape our present and future. At the heart of Sumerian texts lies a celestial body shrouded in mystery and controversy. Nibiru, the purported home planet of the Anunnaki. This enigmatic celestial entity has become a focal point in discussions surrounding humanity's origins, history, and even its future, capturing the imagination of ancient mythologists and modern conspiracy theorists alike. In this episode, we embark on an in-depth exploration of Nibiru's mysteries, examining its portrayal in Sumerian texts and other ancient sources, evaluating the scientific evidence and counter-arguments regarding its existence, and started contemplating the potential implications of this celestial body for humankind. In Sumerian cosmology, Nibiru is known by various names, including the Planet of the Crossing, the 12th planet, and Planet X. It is often described as significantly larger than Earth, rich in iron oxide, giving its rivers and lakes a reddish hue. Some texts even suggest that Nibiru possesses its own solar system, orbiting a dim red dwarf star. Unlike the relatively circular orbits of other planets, Nibiru's trajectory is depicted as exceptionally long and elliptical. This unique orbit brings Nibiru close to Earth at regular intervals, after spending millennia wandering in the outer reaches of our solar system. According to Sumerian accounts, this cyclical approach occurs every 3,600 years. Nibiru's approach to Earth is believed to have significant and potentially cataclysmic consequences for our planet. These consequences primarily involve disruptions caused by its immense gravitational pull. Some researchers attribute the Great Flood narrative to a near passage of Nibiru. According to this theory, Nibiru's gravitational force generated colossal waves in Earth's oceans, triggered seismic disturbances and volcanic eruptions, thus setting in motion one of the most devastating catastrophes in human history. Zecharia Sitchin, in the late 20th century, reinterpreted Sumerian texts, proposing that the Anunnaki were an extraterrestrial race from Nibiru, a planet whose existence and periodic approach to Earth he firmly advocated. According to Sitchin, the Anunnaki possessed advanced technology and journeyed to Earth to mine gold, a vital resource needed to repair their planet's deteriorating atmosphere. He further claimed that the Anunnaki created humankind through genetic engineering to serve as their workforce in the gold mines. While Sitchin's work has played a significant role in popularizing the Anunnaki theory, it has been widely criticized within academic circles for misinterpreting Sumerian texts and lacking a solid scientific basis. The scientific community largely views Sitchin's Nibiru theory and Anunnaki claims with skepticism. Astronomers and other scientists have found no evidence supporting the existence of a planet as described by Sitchin. Observations made with telescopes, data gathered by space probes, and analyses of gravitational effects do not corroborate the existence of a planet like Nibiru. Scientists propose that Nibiru's significance within Sumerian mythology may be symbolic, possibly arising from the misinterpretation of a celestial object, or an astronomical phenomenon, or being an entirely mythological construct. The theories surrounding Nibiru and the Anunnaki have permeated not only academic discussions, but also popular culture. Particularly with the proliferation of the internet and social media, conspiracy theories and speculations about this subject have spread rapidly, captivating a substantial audience. For some, Nibiru represents the harbinger of a catastrophic event awaiting humanity, while for others, it stands as proof of extraterrestrial life and the presence of ancient astronauts. Books, films, documentaries, and video games themed around Nibiru and the Anunnaki have cemented their place in popular culture. It's crucial to remember, however, that most of these works lack a scientific foundation and are primarily based on speculation. The mystery of Nibiru and its potential connection to humanity's past and future raises numerous unanswered questions. Is Nibiru a real planet, or simply a symbolic element in Sumerian mythology? Did the Anunnaki actually visit Earth from this planet? And if so, what were their intentions? The enigma of Nibiru remains a powerful prompt for humanity's quest to understand its origins and place in the cosmos, and could potentially hold the key to future discoveries. The Anunnaki, Enigmatic beings whose presence echoes in the depths of humanity's memory are said to have descended from the heavens. The ongoing debates surrounding their existence and purpose have elevated them to the ranks of history's most enduring enigmas. The cuneiform texts etched onto clay tablets by the Sumerians offer invaluable insights into the stories of these ancient gods, the knowledge they imparted to humanity, their complex interactions with us, and their controversial roles in shaping our world. However, these sources, while rich in information, are also open to interpretation, layered with symbolism, and often fragmented by the passage of time. One fact remains undeniable. The Anunnaki, once influential presences on Earth, gradually diminished their active role, and humanity began to chart its own course. Sumerian texts and interpretations by various researchers frequently emphasize that the Anunnaki's primary motive for coming to Earth was to obtain gold to repair Nibiru's deteriorating atmosphere. For millennia, through the combined efforts of human labor and Anunnaki technology, Earth's gold resources were extracted and transported to their home planet. However, as the Anunnaki amassed sufficient quantities of gold, their focus shifted back towards Nibiru. Mining operations on Earth gradually decreased, gold shipments became less frequent, and interactions with humans were minimized. Preparations for their return to Nibiru commenced, heralding a new era for humankind, an era marked by the gradual cessation of divine intervention. As the Anunnaki's physical presence waned, humanity began to explore its own potential and forge its destiny. Humans began to make independent decisions, utilize their resources, and shape their future. The population grew, cities became more planned and secure, agricultural techniques improved, and new crafts emerged. Art flourished as an expression of human creativity and emotions, and trade fostered interpersonal connections and economic activities. Perhaps most importantly, humans began to establish their own governance systems, social structures, laws, moral values, and belief systems, solidifying their identity and independence. Without the direct guidance and protection of the gods, humanity was finding its own way, writing its own history. However, the dwindling supply of gold from Nibiru was not the sole reason for the Anunnaki's withdrawal. Sumerian texts and various studies reveal deep disagreements among the Anunnaki leaders, particularly between Enki and Enlil, regarding the future of humankind and the Anunnaki's continued role on Earth. Enki, the creator, protector, and teacher of humanity, harbored a deep affection for humankind, never losing faith in their potential and their ability to develop independently. He continued to support, protect, and enlighten them. Conversely, Enlil, growing increasingly wary of humanity's burgeoning population and power, fearing a potential challenge to Anunnaki authority, began devising different, perhaps even perilous, plans for humanity. This internal conflict and power struggle within the Anunnaki ranks may have hastened their decision to withdraw from Earth and profoundly impacted humankind's destiny. When the Anunnaki's technologically advanced celestial boats departed Earth, they left behind both a significant legacy and a multitude of unanswered questions. Humanity emerged from the shadow of the gods, embarking on an independent path. This departure marked both an end and a beginning. In the absence of the gods, humanity's own voice began to resonate. Now masters of their own destiny, humans drew upon the lessons learned from the past to build a new and better world. Destroyed cities were replaced with more planned, secure, and aesthetically pleasing settlements. New technologies and methods enhanced agricultural and livestock practices. Art blossomed as an expression of the human spirit and creativity. Science made great strides toward unraveling the mysteries of the universe and understanding the laws of nature. humans forged their own beliefs, mythologies, philosophical ideas, moral values, and forms of governance, solidifying their unique identity and achieving true independence. The Anunnaki left an undeniable mark on human history. However, the nature, origin, and depth of this influence are still debated and investigated. Some believe the accounts in Sumerian texts represent factual events, asserting that the Anunnaki played a decisive role in human civilization's development. Others interpret these narratives as mythological and symbolic. The origins of humanity, the enigmatic rise of the first civilizations, and our relationship with the gods remain a complex and multifaceted mystery. The key lies in remaining open to different perspectives, prioritizing critical thinking, and conducting independent research to reach our conclusions. Perhaps the greatest legacy of the Anunnaki was demonstrating humanity's potential and bestowing upon us the courage to shape our destiny. I'm Ethan Godfrey. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Each of your likes helps this channel grow and develop. I appreciate your support. Have a great week and take care.